Cars are getting more and more expensive, but are there still more affordable ones? You've asked us for an update of the Opel Astra, new facelift here, or Vauxhall Astra if you're buying from the UK, for example. This is here the facelifted version as the Estate. There's again the Estate and the Hatch. And we're going to file in with all the details and the updates, exterior, interior, and full driving review here today with Thomas Nautical in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the updated Astra here in the Opel version with the updated Opel Blitz in the illumination and also a new look, some vertical element here as well. And the ultimate trim, the top trim, we can see it right here, also has this sportier lower bumper, especially good contrast to the white exterior color. And we have an updated matrix LED. We can see them right here, IntelliLux they call them. And then we have, as I said, the Estate and the Hatch. This is here the Estate, the Tourer, the Sports Tourer, and we have a length of 4.64 meters or 183 inches. That's 27 centimeters or 11 inches longer than the Hatch version, and the wheelbase is 6 centimeters or 2 inches difference. And let's see how that translates then into the interior differences later on. 16 or 18 inch wheels. These are the larger 18 inch wheels. They are also then here connected to this higher trim and a very modern exterior look also at the rear here with its signature. And I think the white color also looks pretty beautiful. The ultimate trim here also then comes with the black logo then, is once again a nice contrast. And this one says hybrid, but is it a real hybrid? And here it is. This is the 1.2 liter 3-cylinder mild hybrid engine or hybrid engine. So two very important things here. First of all, 145 horsepower, and this engine here, it used to be built in oil, but then, you know, a couple of years ago they changed it. Now there's also the hybrid factor together with it, and this says here then the timing chain. And the mild hybrid also helps them with reliability. So older generations you really have to take a look at because of the reliability. Newer ones are supposed to be way better as for that. And I have already been testing this vehicle, and there's always a discussion. Is it mild hybrid? Is it true inbuilt hybrid? And here it's for sure something in between or towards the real hybrid. Why is it? You do have electric moments. I've been, you know, parking in and out in the neighborhood and so on, and even running maybe almost a kilometer electric at slow speeds. Yes, only at slow speeds. But this vehicle is capable of driving pure electric, again, short distance and also very low speeds. So I would say it's moving really towards a real hybrid engine. And this is also giving you some consumption advantages. So I can already tell you right now that we're here at about 6 liters on 100 kilometers. That is 39 mpg US, 47 mpg UK. And also to mention, there's also a 1.5 liter diesel 4-cylinder there, a 1.6 liter plug-in hybrid petrol, and an all-electric Astra. And the details about the other engines you can also find in the video description or in the separate data comment. Now it's time to check out the interior with a typical PSA key fob. So this is where you can see this Peugeot Citroën resemblance, and of course they use the synergies inside the group. And then meanwhile, of course, called Stellantis. Here the door closing sound. That's solid, I like that. You know, I have a fable for these very cool door closing sounds. Also very solid in the rear, so that's pretty cool. And then inside of the door, by the way, normal classic door handles, also to note, right? That's pretty good. Then inside of the door here, you have a nice structure on the top parts. It looks cool, feels nice, and also a little bit soft. Looks a little bit like Mercedes stars, right? Like small Mercedes stars, doesn't it? Oh, and also not to forget here, lamination in this trim at least. For the front, it's not too thick, that window, but there's this lamination on the inside. That's very nice. Some leatherette insert here. This one also with a soft leatherette, but there should be more dampening underneath for the elbow. Classic controls for the windows and so on. Hardback at the inside of the doors. Then updated steering wheel. Meanwhile, this is all animal free, the material. Also soft. It's a nice soft touch indeed. And also when you push it a little bit in, there's also a soft dampening underneath, and even cool here that they thought of a perforation left and right with great contour stitching. So this is really very welcomed. Also still real buttons on the steering wheel, left and right, also for the volume. Then the seats, they have also upgraded the seats. special comfort seats. In this case, then the ultimate trim wheel, gray leather red here, black leather red, and then this fabric, gray fabric, and also special here, you see this area is a little bit lower, and then here for the sit bone, this has more bolstering, and this is a cool idea actually, also to give more comfort to a car in this very segment here, which is not 100,000 euro plus and so on. And the cool thing is really that the sit bone area, where also me myself have the most problems on long journeys when seats are not that good, this is extra dampened, and this is very, very welcomed here. Then here you can also make this lower part a little bit longer. This one also has electric control of the frontal area. I usually leave it down, but you can enjoy that as you like. The rest of the controls are manual, also here pumping and up y'all, for example. So really good seats. Of course, you do feel a difference to SUVs when you're a tall person. Then, for example, in the respective Grandland model, you will sit higher. That's the case. But here in the normal hatch or estate segment, here is also a nice seat, and the steering wheel, the column here, up and down, in and out, also a good adjustment. Now to the cockpit of the Opel or Vauxhall Astra. So here, once again, we have this Mercedes star pattern on the dashboard. That feels pretty nice as well. This one is not too hard, but a little bit soft, I would say. The glove box is quite spacious, actually. And there you can also deactivate the passenger airbag. There's no ISOFIX for the front seat, though, gotta say that. Then interesting here, the hidden compartment right there, maybe for the sunglasses, and also with felt on the inside. So that's actually nice to have. And we still have real physical dials. So here, for example, for the climate unit, gotta say though that pressing upward is not that nice as pressing downward, because from the downside you feel a little bit of this edge, but actually only with the two climate knobs. So the other ones are nicer from the downside, but they also cannot be pushed up. So so every button that can be pushed up has this edge from the lower part. Doesn't feel that nice, but I still really appreciate to have these physical dials, definitely, and also a manual volume jog, for example. To change something in the instruments, you use these here, by the way. The tip of the columns next to the steering wheel is also very important. You also have shifting pedals. Soon more to this infotainment system, which also has its downsides. And one more thing here, you also have some hotkeys directly on this bar, for example, for the seat heating or the heated steering wheel. Heated steering wheel then when the engine is on. So I like that it's rather not complicated and easily accessible. The middle console is hard here at the sides. Then you can slide this open. Yeah, this material is maybe so-so. You can slide this one open. USB-C chargers to charge and to connect. There's also inductive charging pit, but hidden in there and also not ventilated. So I rather prefer the cable solution then. This one can be open as well for cup holders. They are then 2-dot adaptive. This is how you put in the gears. Drive mode selection is also here. Some space here, and then this could be a little bit softer for your elbow once again, but we have a nice split opening, and then space underneath that we can put all the clutter we don't need at this moment underneath. And I think you can find everything quite quickly what you want to find. Then we have the roof. This one here is the optional glass roof with a manual shade, so that's fine. Headroom 189.62 fits. You can open that one again, and I'm not sure if I should reopen that one right now, because there's a lot of rain. But I mean, on the other hand, you need to see it, guys, right? So I take the chances. I didn't expect it to be that bad, actually. Everything for you guys, So of course, Leah has a laugh now, and you can as well. That's why I'm here for, that everyone can have a laugh at my expense, right? Anyways, a proof of concept.
Test, yeah.
Yeah, proof. I really thought for a moment this stays dry. I really thought of it. Yeah, but then it was directly hit, headshot. Yeah. I mean, you can still leave some air in. That's also rare these days. So it ticks a lot of boxes. And hey, the interior stayed relatively dry because I got all the water from the top. And the driver POV. This is here the updated Opel Blitz, the logo. Then we have the digital instruments, which you can also vary a little bit here with left index finger there, or the right one there, also for the consumption and so on. There's also a head-up display available, and then the main infotainment unit. As I said, good that we can change the climate unit right there. Manual, this is the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto integration. You see, nothing is very quick, so it takes time usually, and the visualization is not the most modern, but it mainly does the job. By the way, here the typical Peugeot secret here, the 3 fingers on the screen gets you to this hidden main menu basically, and then you can search things which you maybe haven't found so far. And important to know, press this one here to get into the menu where you can activate or deactivate some annoying systems and so on. However, you can also then just program that this one, when you push and hold, directly deactivates the speed chime law EU thing. This is of course a practical thing that you have that shortcut. Rear seats, well, inside of the doors, this is all hardback. Well, here there's a little bit of leatherette and there, but yeah, nothing special there indeed. But the seats are also nice here with the gray fabric, and also here this middle insert, and the seating depth here for the sit bone area is also good for the rear seats. So this is the part I like. Push the head restraints up, and the seating comfort on the seats itself is actually nice. But the thing is, even here in the Sports Tourer, the Estate, there's hardly any legroom left when there are tall people driving in the front. And the reason for that is, although this one here has 6 centimeters more wheelbase than the hatch, this concept of this platform, this is the same for the Peugeot 308, is that the gain in wheelbase is not for the rear passengers. It's rather also to enlarge the trunk there in the rear. This is a very unusual concept, but this is what they decided for here, more luggage space. And for kids it's fine, you have the ISOFIX and so on, but for tall people in the rear it's critical. Yeah, maybe when the seat is a little bit higher that you can use as recess, but you can see here I'm kind of lost here. And one USB-C charger here for the rear with the facelift here, but that's kind of it. Material choices are actually fine, especially on the seats, and headroom would also be no problem with 189/6 This is also one advantage then here of the Sports Tourer, the Estate. Headroom is a little bit better because this is continued a little bit further than in comparison to the hatch. So the trunk or boot volume says 600 liters. Of course, there are different figures out there depending on which measurement you take, but let's take a look and measure ourselves. We did experience some problems with the electric hatch, by the way. If you've experienced that as well and are an Astra owner, then feel free to comment on that also in the video description. We'll also wait until the car rests a little bit and then try out again. Then here, this cover here has nice rails left and right. This one also still fits underneath, no problem. Then we have 1.40 m in width and also the same 1.40 m in length. We have also this remote unlock, and we sometimes have to see that the seatbelt isn't blocking it. Then it needs a little bit more help, but that's a good feature. And then let's check it out here. The total length is at 1.75 m, 69 inches, and also the height, here we go, at 27 inches or 69 centimeters. What I found pretty cool is from the build quality here, like the fabric they use here is kind of like really like a high floor material. This is more like a premium car, honestly, so I really like that. And then here there's some space left there, and I can also lift this one up, and underneath I can pull up like this, can put something underneath, or I can also go to a lower stage theoretically, but then I need to here remove the towing hook and so on. So this would be possible to get this lower stage and to get a little bit more height out of it. And overall, I think was cut out and so on, very well usable. Let's start driving the Astra facelift, and the interesting thing is, at the moment, we're driving electric, 30 kilometers an hour. Now the engine went on because I was accelerating a little bit more. But even here, see, especially in the eco mode, this is also then a little bit more pronounced. You can also go to the normal mode, for example, with the switch here, and soon also to the sport mode where we test some of the acceleration. We leave this, no, we don't leave this Peugeot pass because it wants to go in the other lane. So here we go to the sport mode. There we go, and see if this rather small, red everything and so on, if this rather small engine can still deliver some with the turbo here. What did he say? What did she say? I have no idea what she said. So let's go. It's 100, 120, and 130. I wonder why the Lear meter didn't go off. Yeah, of course. I mean, this is not a performance car by all means. This is supposed to be a more affordable car. It does have the turbo, just that you get an impression of, I mean, not that much is happening. There was also still, you know, some pulling of the steering wheel, gotta say that though. We can, however, deactivate the lane keeping assist there too. That's maybe a good idea. And then let's see about that. This is usually a good thing that you can just see a little bit more freely. I think it's silent, yes. I mean, I've shown you the insulation here, like the lamination. The windows are not that thick. They are like slim rather, but then they have the lamination. So it's a very rare combination that you have very thin windows, but then they have the lamination. And I have to say, it's astonishingly silent.
And the street is very wet.
Yeah, we even have a wet road here. So yeah, good point by Leah. I mean, she's our queen of silence as well. Not always, but I mean, of recognizing when it's silent or not, you know, and queen of everything, of course, as well. And passenger princess. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's actually one of the best findings here. That's really silent, very nice. We do have the 18-inch wheels here in this ultimate trim, so that of course is a little bit sportier, right? We did notice some booming noise at slow speed over some bumps in the city, exactly. However, here now on the motorway, when it's well built, suspension is actually doing a good job, a good compromise between sportiness and comfort. There's the enemy, the Golf variant, fierce competitor. Let's do a lane change at 140 kilometers an hour. It's actually nice. Yeah, not shaking up or something like that. Really good. The suspension is not too firm though, so they still want to keep comfort. And 150 kilometers an hour, it's still reasonable from noise. Of course, it's getting a little bit louder, but I mean, consider this is a car that is around fully spec 40,000 euros, and there are some cars that are more expensive that are louder than this one. So this is a positive surprise. And yes, we do like SUVs as tall people for the seating position, but as I said, the seats themselves are good. And another advantage is of a lower sitting car. You stand less against the wind, for example. Also good against the noise from the outside. And you have a sportier driving position. And this is working quite well, actually. So there's always the topic about the lines in the, like the wires in the windscreen for the heated windshield. Very popular feature when it's super cold in wintertime and the front screen is freezing in the morning and so on. I do see these lines constantly somehow. Leah has been driving Ford when she was young, so she's not seeing that. I mean, she has better eyes than I do, but she's not seeing it because when you're used to driving a Ford, you always know that the lines are, well, you don't recognize them anymore then. That's the thing, but definitely something to consider before. And I really say, this is a very good performance here on the German motorway. Of course, the German Autobahn is always the test which all cars you have to face when we are driving them in Germany to see how they perform right here. Actually, I also have driving fun. It's nicely done. As long as the road is even and so on, you know, is that some booming noises then when there are some fine bumps in the road in city driving, but here does a very nice job, you know. And once again, I was positively surprised of how good the hybrid system was working in the city, that you always have these electric moments as well. Then you can also just tip the indicator to change the lanes, and once again, also the lane change are a lot of fun to do. There's also a good overview because it's a rather classic building style of this vehicle, so you know exactly what's happening in front, inside, and behind you here, especially in the estate. You have a very good view to the rear from there too. I also have the head-up display in my line of sight, and I don't need to watch the instruments. I can just keep them the long focus, so that's very nicely done. Let's see. I also have this visualization activated. You probably won't look at it from time to time, but here, for example, even at 100 kilometers an hour, the engine shuts off when I'm just rolling and gaining some energy back. So that's a pretty cool thing, you know. Of course, we had this initial push that you got that speed from the combustion engine, but this is a good way to save some of fuel, and also maybe pronounced even more in the eco mode, for example. This is working very well. Astonishing, you know. So this, look at that. Yeah, wait a minute, no. Now the combustion engine went on. So sometimes when you're like driving slowly, then the combustion engine is really notable. But here at these speeds, then you rather don't hear if it's on or not. Let's see, now it's off again. Let's see like if this box is white or transparent. Getting back some energy, now the car is being driven by the battery, basically, by the electric motor. That's cool. Now it went on again. Yeah, now we feel a little bit. So indeed, I would really say that this can be considered a true hybrid. And that's another interesting finding here today with the Astra facelift. So about the affordable vehicles, this one here starts at 35,000 euros as the Tourer, the Sports Tourer, even a little bit less expensive as the hatch, and full spec and so on as it stands here right now, just over 40,000 euros. Even more expensive would be especially the plug-in hybrid version, but then again in some countries you have taxation benefits, so you have to see how it plays out. Again, the different engine specs are also in the video description or in the data comment. So this car does deliver. I think it has a fresh exterior. Want to look, they didn't change too much with the facelift, honestly. Could have been maybe more tweaks also on the interior, but there are also comfortable seats and also good steering wheel material, and the interior is rather, it's not complicated, you know, so you find what you want to find. The software infotainment, of course, that is basically, you know, just too outdated. I think they should have worked more on that, especially with that facelift. But the rest of the functions are, of course, very well put in place, and it also drives quite well. You cannot expect much more, of course, at that price point, but I think it's very important that there are still cars which are not like in the 100,000 euro areas, and you know that the average car for price is more than 50,000 euros, so this is very well below that. The only problem might be that even the Stellantis Corporation itself, they are getting internal cooperation, for example, from Leap Motors, with getting them into their dealerships. But I think Opel and Vauxhall still here have this somewhat classic bestseller in their portfolio, where especially young families and so on have a very good purpose. And of course, this is used as a fleet company car as well. Then again, fighting against the typical Volkswagen models like the Golf variant. You can check some of the competitors out right now.